answer the fucking question.
Lights, camera, action.
Hello, my baddies. Today we're going to be reading some creepypastas. Also, happy 1st of October, my baddies. It's definitely the spooky season, so I figured we'd have a change of setting. I'm in Pumpkin Hill Zone. Let's get reading some creepypastas, shall we? Our first creepypasta we're going to be reading is Super Mario 64. Great title, am I right? Now, we're only going to do 2 creepypastas as this one is quite long. I hope you enjoy, my baddies. Cue the music. I always liked Super Mario 64 when I was a kid. I remember playing it at my aunt's house all the time. Well, one day a pop-up appeared out of nowhere as I was watching gameplay footage on YouTube. I was a little startled and was about to close the window until I realized that it was a website showing a mint condition copy of Super Mario 64 for sale. There was a picture and everything. I usually don't trust these things, but the feeling nostalgia overpowered me, and I wanted to buy it. The whole business was peculiar, seeing as how the owner of the game wanted the buyer to send an envelope containing $10 to an address on the site, instead of using something like PayPal. What made things even more strange was that when I tried to gain access to the website, I wrote down the URL. After encountering problems with the game, the page was nowhere to be found. A few days after the $10 was mailed, I got a package containing the new copy of the game. The first thing I noticed when I opened the small box was that the official sticker with Mario flying in the air was apparently peeled off or something. In its place was a piece of duct tape with Mario written crudely on it in permanent marker. I felt a little ripped off. My brother in Christ, you bought something off a sketchy-ass website. What were you expecting? But as long as the game worked, I didn't care. I got out my Nintendo 64 and put the cartridge in. The screen turned on with a familiar Mario face that you could stretch and twist aimlessly. I remember laughing at the results as a kid all the time, and decided to mess around with it for old time's sake. I moved the cursor over to Mario's ear and pulled it to 11 proportions. I was going to do the same to the other ear when the TV suddenly produced loud static. Mario's whole head began deforming and twisting in ways that I didn't even know were possible for the model. Random sound effects from the game started playing along with the static. As all this was occurring, I could hear a faint voice whispering in Japanese. The voice was stammering and whimpering. As we all know, foreign languages are scary, am I right? I immediately shut off the game and tried again. I didn't bother with the Mario head this time, just selected a new file and started playing. When I selected the file, the game skipped the opening monologue by Peach in the courtyard outside. Mario is placed right inside the castle. Creepier still, Bowser didn't say anything either. I tried to ignore it and play it anyway. However, I also noticed that there was no music. Just dead silence. There wasn't even any toads around to talk to. The only door I could enter was the Bomb-On Battlefield. The other doors wouldn't even respond to my button controls. Or commands, I should say. The portrait the Bomb-On Battlefield wasn't the usual picture. It was just a stark white canvas. I was still trying to convince myself that these were just minor glitches, and that they wouldn't affect the gameplay at all. Once I entered the portrait, the image suddenly went from a blank canvas to the lethal lava lamp painting. You know, that slightly unsettling image of the flame with the evil smile? Yeah, that's when I started getting really suspicious. Oh, really? This is when you started getting suspicious. Okay, then. The mission select menu came up, and yet another weird detail was present. Instead of Big Bomb on the Summit, the mission was called Turn Back. I have no idea what drove me to press A, but I did. The level seemed normal. Everything was how I remembered it. I thought I could finally enjoy my favorite childhood game. But then I saw him. Luigi. I was absolutely shocked. He was never in this game. Well, no shit. His model wasn't even a Mario palette swap. He looked like a completely original model. Luigi just stood there until I tried to approach him. He started running at unexpected speeds. I followed suit and went through the level. Strange things happened as I pursued him. Each time I picked up a coin, the enemies and music would get slower. And the scenery would look darker in color and more morbid. It kept gradually getting worse until I collected a 5th coin. Then, the music just stopped. The enemies lay down in the ground like they were dead. I was seriously freaked out, but I kept chasing Luigi. I went up the hill. No cannonballs rolled down trying to knock me over. I really wasn't surprised at this point. Luigi was just always out of my sight as I ran. Once I reached the summit, I saw yet another object out of place. A small cottage was all that was seen on top of the hill. Luigi was nowhere to be found. The cottage was certainly odd-looking for a Mario game. It was old, plain, and broken down. Regardless of my fears at that moment, I had Mario into the cottage. As soon as the door closed, a disturbing picture of a hanged Luigi immediately popped up along with a very frightening scare chord. It sounded like a violin screeching accompanied by loud piano banging. Mario fell to his knees and sobbed for roughly 5 minutes, then the screen irised out. Rest in peace, Luigi. You will be messed up. I returned to the castle. Mario just slumped out of the painting. The image switched from the lethal lava lamp portrait to the image of the hanged Luigi. Wait, no. To the image of Luigi hating himself. The room was different this time. Oh, you don't say. It was now a small hallway. Toads with blank expressions and white robes lined its sides. There was another painting at the opposite end that completely and utterly scared me. It was a picture of my family. It wasn't even a photo from the Super Mario 64 was It wasn't even a photo from the time Super Mario 64 was released. It was a very, very recent photo. I remember posing for it last weekend. I reached for the on and off switch on the N64. There was no way I was going to play this anymore. However, when I flipped the switch, the game was still on. I flipped it back and forth, but to no avail. I tried unplugging the whole system, but it never left the screen. I was even still able to control Mario. I can't read, I'm sorry. I couldn't just leave it on forever, so I kept playing. I went to the photo of my family and jumped in. Only one mission was available, of course. This one was called Run, Don't Walk. I selected it. Let's go! The level started in a flooded hallway with platforms. Floating on the water, Mario landed on one of them, and then the camera turned to show what was behind. A silent black void was slowly approaching Mario. It didn't look like anything. It didn't even look like finished graphics. Just a giant, blocky black blob. I started jumping from platform to platform with no goal in sight. I kept running in the darkness, slowly but surely gaining speed. This kept going on for what felt like hours. I was really doubting there would ever be an end. Mario was just going in circles. Finally, the black blob void thing caught up with Mario and enveloped him in darkness. He didn't scream or resist at all. It just consumed him. Mario fell out of the painting and back into the castle. I lost one of my 3 lives. The room was different now. Some of the toads were gone, and the painting looked different. My family and I were in the same positions, but our bodies was partly decomposed. It looked too real to be photoshopped. It looked more like someone had taken our dead bodies and posed them. Regardless, I jumped into the painting again. Mario was in a small room. There was still only one mission available. It was called I'm Right Here. Spelled just like that. Well, how else would it be spelled like? I selected it and prepared for the worst. Mario landed in a small dark room. There was no visible way out. The room was empty, except for a piano in the corner. I knew what that meant. I was stuck in there with the mad piano. I approached it and it started chasing me as always. There was no way to damage it, so I had no choice but to let Mario take damage. When he lost all his health, the usual death animation didn't happen. Mario just got mauled by the piano. He fell as his blood and guts spilled on the floor, and the camera panned to a top-down view of his corpse. A distorted version of the merry-go-round music from Big Boo's Haunt played as the screen slowly transitioned from the in-game shot to a photorealistic sketch of Mario's dead body in the same view as the shot. It was very unsettling. I was crying softly as I gazed upon the image. What? I lost another life. The photo of my family was shown again, where we were even more rotten than before. The view zoomed into the painting like I was warping again, and I was greeted with a shot of Peach's castle from the outside. The castle was crumbling in ruin. The fields were on fire. The sky was pitch black. Bowser's laugh played on a loop in the background as children mockingly chanted, "You couldn't save her." This went on for a long time until a close-up of Peach's face accompanied by an extremely loud screech interrupted the loop without notice. Peach's mouth was wide open as if she was screaming and her eyes were empty, black holes. Suddenly I was back in the hallway as Mario was once again ejected out of the painting. Now all of the toads were gone, and me and my family looked positively repulsive. Maggots were wriggling around in holes in our flesh. Guts were spilling out of our bodies. My dad's eyeball was hanging loose from its socket. It was too much to bear. But something still urged me to trudge on. I jumped into the painting, with only one life remaining. This time, there was no name for the mission, just a blank space where the title would be. I selected it. And Mario landed on a very small island in the middle of the ocean. There was a solitary sign, and only read, "Dive." I did just as it said and entered the water. The ocean was dark and empty. There were no fish. I wasn't even able to see anything besides Mario. I swam downwards. I kept going for quite some time, yet Mario never ran out of breath. I continued roughly 10 minutes of swimming, until I decided to go back up. Just as I turned Mario around, it came. A huge, and I mean huge, Unagi the eel came out of nowhere and swallowed Mario whole. I was dumbfounded. It went by so fast that I wasn't even sure what I'd seen. The game over screen didn't show up. All that happened was a fade out. The photo of my family and I was shown again. We were plain skeletons by now. Go figure. Once again, it looked very real. I couldn't move the camera at all. It just stayed focused on the picture. I shut off the game and turned it on again. I chose my file, but it just went to the skeleton photo of my family. I tried this about 3 more times before giving up. I desperately wanted to stop, but some voice kept me from walking away. I decided to select the only other save file. The camera once again focused on the skeleton picture, but this time they were in a different position, as if they were a different family. You can't get any more cliche than that, but okay, that was a good story. A final story is gonna be, oh my, Mario says the fuck word. What the fuck? The bastard, as it says on the image. Here's the story, my baddies. Buckle up. This is gonna be a wild ride. One night, I was playing Super Mario 64. Why is it always Mario 64? Can't it be Mario Sunshine, Mario Galaxy, anything? Beggars can't be choosers, I guess. One night, I was playing Super Mario 64. I was playing as the Italian figure, Mario. After some rigorous jumping, I failed once and Mario fell to his doom. He came back from the painting and said, "Mamma mia, I got fucking killed!" What? As he walked outside, I asked myself, did Mario swear? Did I hear that from the video? Video? You mean video game? I didn't think twice about it until later that night. While traveling through the dire docks, upon my usual business, Mario turned his head in a 40-degree angle and said, "Shh, fuck!" What the hell? Then my mother comes into the room and asks, "Are you swearing?" I said, "It was Mario, not me." My mother grabbed me by the ear. She threw me into the bedroom, and I went, She jumped on my face. She did the ground pound. She swung me around by the hair and said, "So long, gay Bowser." The night, I decided to revisit the old dire docks for further inspection. This time, Mario pivoted his face towards the camera and said, "God." My mother ran holding the Mario manual and started belting me across the mouth with it. Then she started cutting the webbings off my fingers with it. My fingers became longer. She grabbed my lip and said, "If you ever act like that no good Wario pin, I'll pull off your..." I said, "It's Mario, Mom." My father ran in with Yoshi the Dino Board, who went, boy, y'all," and smacked me in the face. On the third night, my dead girlfriend was in the video game and said, "You have to save me," or something. Okay? I had to play the Song of Healing backwards, and it made the swear words retract back into Mario's mouth. The end. Okay, 10 out of 10. Word read again. Oh god. I hope you all enjoy those 2 spooky spaghettis, my baddies. And have a happy spooky month. See you all later. Ta-ta.